Hello America, welcome to Dow's Weekly Digest. Dow Bartling here, your Chief Storytelling Officer. So happy you could join us here at Financial Markets. The theme I like to use this week is obstacles. Obstacles. Kind of like this rock right here that you see. This rock right here is very special to LaDonna, my wife, and myself. This rock comes from Colorado Springs. We picked it up on our honeymoon, and we kept it. And then other rocks started to join. Rocks from Nebraska, rocks from Iowa, rocks from Minnesota, rocks from North Dakota, and rocks from South Dakota. Wherever we lived, those rocks came with us. But it kind of made home. And regardless what obstacles we came across, we kind of were rock solid. Maybe have some cracks now and then, but we were able to handle those obstacles. The theme, obstacles. But first, hey, let's look at some cowboy wisdom. You cannot blame the worm for not wanting to go fishing. The fish wants the worm, not the hook. The worm is totally committed. He's not just a participant. And at times the worm can feel like Paul Revere's horse. Do you know the name of Paul Revere's horse? I sure don't, but he was very committed, wasn't he? And a little bit of South Dakota trivia. East of here on the interstate, Interstate 90, is a little town, and that town is Kadoka. How did it get its name? Kadoka is a Native American Lakota word, and it means hole in the wall. And if you go south of Kadoka, it is kind of the hole in the wall or the entrance of the National Badlands. So Kadoka, hole in the wall. A bit of trivia. And what does the Bible say about obstacles? Joshua 1:9. And it says this: "Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened or dismayed. For the Lord God, your God, is with you wherever you go." Deuteronomy 31, verses 6 and 8. "Be strong and bold. Have no fear or dread of them, because it is the Lord, your God, who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not fail you or forsake you." So you're definitely not alone. Obstacles? Obstacles in our path. The story goes like this. There was a king, and this king had a boulder. So it's much, much bigger than this, folks. Great big boulder. And he had that boulder put in the middle of the road. And then he hid and he watched. And pretty soon, up comes one of the wealthiest people in the kingdom. And he goes around the boulder. Next, here comes a landowner. And he comes up and he goes around the boulder. And he starts to complain. "You know, the king should do something about this boulder here. Why isn't he removing this here?" Pretty soon, here comes a peasant. And the peasant is carrying some vegetables that they're going to take into town and sell. The peasant sees the boulder and stops. He puts the vegetables down and he starts to work and work and work on taking the boulder and moving it off the road. And he's successful. He puts the vegetables back on his back and he starts to go into town. Just he looks back and he sees that there is a bag that was underneath the boulder. He picks up the bag, and in the bag then is a note from the king. "Please accept these gold coins for the one who moved the boulder off of the road." The peasant learned what many of us don't know yet. Every obstacle presents an opportunity to improve our situation. Every obstacle gives us that opportunity to improve our situation. Obstacles. Think about this little fact, folks. Remember the Today Show? It's still on in the mornings. but they used to have what they called the SMUCKERS Shout Out. Willard Scott and Al Roker would do the SMUCKERS Shout Out. This would be a person that reached the age of 100. And what I was able to find out is they're getting inundated by people that are reaching the age of 100. In 2010, there were over 53,000 that were over age 100. In 2020, there are over 90,000 that are over 100. And in 2030, they believe there will be over 140,000 people that will be over the age of 100. Hey, we need to talk. Many of these people are aware that they're unprepared for retirement. And those retirement years are going to be a lot more of the years than what they planned on necessarily. So they're concerned in how they're going to fund for that. However, the various generations, even within that family, are not communicating on retirement planning. We need to talk. And North American, one of our carriers, premier carriers, just very recently done a study on that need to talk. And they're saying, who's not talking? This particular pamphlet. In fact, if it was me, I would be asking my internal wholesaler for a copy of this. Look who's not talking. Look who's not talking. They say consumers are surprisingly mum about retirement planning. But they need to be, folks. We know they need to be. Example was the number of years that people are going to be living. And some of the key learning elements that they bring up. Number one, retirement advice is limited and vague. So some of the information or non-information that they're getting out there is what? Not accurate, and it's vague. Surprise, surprise, folks. Key learning number two, each generation is repeating some of the same retirement mistakes. Wanna, shoulda, coulda. Oh man, I shoulda, put more money away. Some of those same mistakes that dad did, daughter's doing the same thing. They're not communicating. Key learning number three, financial fears remain the same across generations. Some of the same things that they're a little bit apprehensive about, have an anxiety about, it goes generation to generation. And it covers those folks. And then finally, key learning number four, Generation Xers are poised to be more involved with their parents' planning. So it looks like a little bit leaning on one side. They're willing to communicate, but the other side's a little bit not wanting to communicate there. Again, if they're carrying that burden of retirement and thinking about retirement planning, what better person than you to help them with some of those questions that they may have, to help them move the rock, move the rock. Folks, North American has put together this package. And who would you be asking? Your internal wholesaler. Ask them for this package here. But it encompasses retirement planning. This one piece right here is a consumer brochure that you could be giving to your clients. Okay? It says using life insurance for death benefit protection. Okay, kind of a given, right? But added to that, using those very same dollars, a strategy to help with supplemental income. So a little bit of a cherry on top, a little bit extra there that they're probably not even considering. It covers key questions here. Why life insurance? Who can benefit? And how does it work? Very basic things, but it gives them a track for them to be looking at and a track for you to follow. Contact your internal wholesaler and ask them for, hey, I'd like that retirement planning client brochure. Now that they don't stop there. Their next piece here for you is this. For you, a marketing guide. It's entitled Retirement Planning Using Life Insurance. And so it looks a little closer at understanding all 360 of the concept of retirement planning and this longevity revolution that we're going through. Then it goes, again, of the advantages of life insurance. Items to consider, and then the special features of the life insurance and the product that North American has to offer there, folks. This is all in a marketing guide for you. And then retirement planning alternatives. Getting you prepared that there could be alternatives that they are already looking at. And if you kind of bring it up yourself, then it gives you the opportunity to control that. So how it works, and then it gives you client profile worksheets to work with. So it tries to, again, give you all the resources and tools that you can help them with that obstacle of retirement planning. And more importantly, folks, tools to help them understand it. Their problem is communication. You've got the tools to help them with that. So every obstacle presents an opportunity to improve. With North American's assistance, and indeed your internal wholesaler, you can make that an opportunity. I know you can. You can make that an opportunity. So I said the theme was obstacles. Let's look at some recommendations I might have for you. The film was in 2014. It's based on a true story. You know I like true story movies. It's entitled Wild. The star is one of my favorites. It's Reese Witherspoon. She plays a part of a recent divorcee in Minneapolis, Minnesota. She decides that she's going to go and hike the Pacific Crest Trail. And she goes through this quest. And we go with her at this quest, as she then takes on obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. She didn't do it alone. She starts with and comes across some experienced people that helps her. You know, we have some experienced people that can help you. That's your internal wholesaler. This movie, The Wild. The book is, I believe it's in paperback like this, of course, in Kindle book and hard copy too. It's an older book. And it's entitled The Greatest Salesman in the World. And the author is Og Mandino. The book, the author suggests at certain points that we don't go on to the next chapter until we've conquered this chapter. And so it could take, in the author's plan, maybe a year to read that book. This small little book, if we did literally what he suggests. It's a nice little book. Recommend it, and recommend it be a good gift, folks. Be a good gift with Christmas coming up. So that's the book. The song is entitled Rise Up, and the singer is Andrea Day. And I would recommend that when you would go to check on this song, that you would go to maybe YouTube and go to the official video. It'll say Rise Up, Andrea Day official video. The little background of some of the words in the song is maybe apropos in this month, with the month we just finished of November of Veterans Day, because in the video and in the words of the song you can relate to this veteran and how this rise up phrase is very apropos for this disabled veteran. So I very much recommend that song. Power phrase, obstacles, retirement, spoke about. It kind of goes like this. What sort of way of life, lifestyle, would you want if and when you retire? So what type of lifestyle do you look forward to if and when you retire? Then you add on to that. What sort of way of life would you have if you were compelled to retire due to illness? Illness of yourself or illness of your spouse? Is there a chasm between those two? If there is, that's why you're there, to talk to them about that particular break Maybe that supplement of income could be talked about. The use of the dollars to do two things, death benefit and supplement an income. So, what sort of way of life would you have if you were compelled to retire tomorrow due to illness or your spouse's illness? The video comes from North American. It's going to speak of retirement. Pick up this one word. They use the phrase cash value. Maybe you could think of using this word instead. Living value. Instead of cash value, living value. And whatever needs it may be, but the living value. But it's a good little video. I think you'll enjoy it.
You're likely aware that life insurance can help you with your financial protection. But did you know that in addition to death benefit protection during your working years, permanent life insurance has the potential to build cash value that can be used to help supplement your retirement income, generally tax-free? Let's take a look at an example. Let's say you are 45, married, and have 2 children. Let's separate your money into 3 buckets. In the first bucket, or after-tax bucket, you have $75,000 worth of stocks. You also own $50,000 in mutual funds, along with an annuity worth $20,000. Most after-tax investment distributions are taxed at the capital gains rate. Let's call the second bucket the before-tax bucket. Many clients have a 401k account, which for most people will be their biggest retirement asset. Many will also have traditional IRAs from previous employers that have been rolled over. In our example, you have $150,000 in your 401k account and $40,000 in a traditional IRA. These are tax-qualified types of investments, and their distributions are taxed as ordinary income. Now, let's take a look at the third bucket. It's an after-tax bucket like the first one, but the distributions from this bucket are potentially tax-free. In most cases, you'll find that this bucket contains only a small percentage of assets compared to the other buckets. In your case, it has none. This is where life insurance can come into play. The cash value potential in the policy you decide to purchase becomes part of the third bucket. During retirement, you may access that cash value through policy loans, which are generally tax-free. So in addition to death benefit protection, you gain an additional bucket to consider as part of your retirement planning. To learn more about how cash value life insurance can help supplement your retirement planning options, contact your financial professional today.
Did you pick up on the different buckets? And there's that one particular one, that special one. In fact, they mentioned, I think, didn't they, that there's very few elements in that bucket, that after-tax bucket. And you've got that special answer, that special product that can be in that bucket, after-tax bucket. Hope you picked up on that. So indeed, folks, there's going to be obstacles, but we're all here to pull together and get those boulders out of your way. You know, the last month, historically, I have found in my experience, we can write a lot of business in the last month of the year. Some of the insurance carriers are trying to fill their reinsurance obligations. In doing so, they have to fill their obligations of term and permanent. What does that mean for us? It means there is then sometimes broader parameters on underwriting. And historically, I have personally seen that happen, where sometimes to fill their reinsurance obligations, they will broaden the parameters of underwriting. Heck, we've already seen that a little bit with the COVID and the accelerated underwriting and simplified underwriting that's being done. My point is, 2020 is not done, and we're here to help you get the boulders out of the way so you can get your business in before the end of the year. Remember, folks, God's plan for you is great, and blessed are those who ease the pain of misfortune. They get the obstacles out of the way, for they shall be called insurance agents. You have a good day.